Determining if a charge is too expensive for installing 4 outdoor fixtures involves considering several factors. Firstly, local market rates play a significant role. Electrical labor rates differ substantially across areas. Comparing your rates with other local contractors is essential to ensure competitiveness while maintaining profitability. Secondly, the scope of the work defines the complexity and effort required for the project. Drilling through brick, snaking wire through confined spaces, making holes in closed ceilings, and installing switches all contribute to a significant workload. The more intricate the job, the higher the cost should be to compensate for the added difficulty and time. Thirdly, time spent directly impacts the overall cost. In this case, 12 hours were dedicated to the project, which equates to a day and a half of work for one person. Calculating an hourly rate that covers your labor and overhead is crucial for accurate pricing. Fourthly, materials are an important cost component. Even though the fixtures were supplied, all other necessary materials such as wire, BX cable, boxes, connectors, and fasteners need to be accounted for. Ensure all material costs are included in a final price to avoid undercharging. Fifthly, overhead costs encompass all the expenses associated with running a business. Rent, insurance, vehicle expenses, tools, advertising, and other administrative costs must be factored into your pricing to ensure the business remains sustainable. Ignoring overhead can lead to financial losses, even if the labor appears profitable. Electrical work inherently involves risks. The potential for electrical shock, arc flash, and other hazards necessitate specialized skills and safety precautions. The level of skill and expertise required justifies a fair wage that reflects the inherent dangers and responsibilities of the job. To improve pricing strategies, it's advisable to get quotes from other contractors in the area. Obtaining multiple quotes will provide a benchmark for the prevailing rates and help you adjust your prices accordingly. Negotiating with the customer is often necessary to reach a mutually agreeable price. Be prepared to explain the factors that contribute to your pricing and be willing to compromise, but never undervalue your expertise and time. Providing a detailed estimate is critical for transparency and customer understanding. The estimate should clearly outline the scope of work, the materials required, and the associated costs. A detailed estimate builds trust and reduces the likelihood of disputes. Securing a written contract is essential for protecting both parties involved. The contract should specify the work to be done, the agreed upon price, the payment terms, and any other relevant conditions. A written contract provides legal recourse in case of disagreements or non-payment. Consider the type of wiring used. The question specifies using 12mm2 BX cable. BX cable, also known as armored cable or AC, is a specific type of electrical cable. If the local electrical code permits an alternative wiring method for similar costs, it could be considered. Also, ensure that the provided cable is listed and approved for the specific application. Also, 12mm2 refers to the wire gauge and number of conductors, respectively. Number 12 American wire gauge, or AUG, is a common size for general lighting and receptacle circuits in residential and commercial buildings. The 2 indicates that there are 2 insulated conductors plus a bare ground wire inside the cable assembly. The type of boxes used can impact labor and material costs. Electrical boxes serve as enclosures for wiring connections, switches, and receptacles. Several types of boxes are available, including metal and non-metallic versions, each with varying costs and installation requirements. When drilling through brick for mounting fixtures, it's important to use the correct anchors and fasteners. Raw plugs, also known as wall plugs or plastic anchors, are commonly used to secure screws into masonry or concrete. Selecting the appropriate size and type of raw plug ensures the fixture is securely mounted and prevents it from becoming loose or falling. Consider the voltage of the lighting circuit. Ensure that the wiring and components are rated for the appropriate voltage. Most general lighting circuits operate at 120 volts, but higher voltage systems may be used in some commercial applications. Confirming the voltage requirements and using compatible materials ensures safety and code compliance. When snaking wire through walls and ceilings, use proper techniques to avoid damaging the existing structure or creating hazards. Fish tapes or flexible conduit can be used to guide the wire through concealed spaces without causing damage. Be careful not to puncture pipes, ductwork, or other hidden utilities during the wiring process. Consider the National Electrical Code requirements. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards for electrical installations. Familiarize yourself with the relevant NEC requirements for your specific project to ensure compliance and safety. The NEC covers topics such as wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and equipment installation. Regarding working in occupied spaces, be mindful of the occupants and their belongings. Protect furniture, equipment, and flooring from dust, debris, and damage during the work process. Communicate with the occupants to minimize disruptions and address any concerns they may have. Consider the type of switches installed for controlling the light fixtures. Various types of switches are available, including single-pole, three-way, and dimmer switches. Select the appropriate type of switch based on the desired functionality and the wiring configuration. Ensure the switch is properly rated for the lighting load and is installed according to code requirements. Also, ensure you properly documented the work you have done. Maintain accurate records of all work performed, including the scope of work, materials used, and time spent. This documentation can be useful for future reference, warranty claims, or dispute resolution. It is also a good practice to take photos of the completed installation for your records. In addition, you should stay updated with current electrical codes and regulations. Electrical codes and regulations are constantly evolving to reflect new technologies, safety concerns, and best practices. Stay informed about the latest updates to the NEC and any local amendments to ensure your work is always compliant and safe. Continuous professional development is essential for staying current in the electrical field. Consider factors affecting project timelines. Unexpected issues and delays can arise during electrical work. Factors such as unforeseen obstacles, material shortages, or changes in the scope of work can impact project timelines. Be prepared to adjust your schedule as needed and communicate any delays to the customer promptly. Be sure to account for waste material and disposal costs. Electrical work typically generates some amount of waste material, such as wire scraps, damaged components, and packaging. Include the cost of disposing of these materials properly in your pricing. Consider the environmental impact of your work and dispose of waste materials responsibly. Be aware of permit and inspection requirements. Electrical installations often require permits and inspections to ensure compliance with local codes and regulations. Research the permit requirements for your area and obtain any necessary permits before starting work. Schedule inspections as required and be prepared to address any issues identified by the inspector. Think about safety precautions. Electrical work can be dangerous if not performed properly. Always follow safety precautions, such as wearing appropriate personal protective equipment to energizing circuits before working on them, and using insulated tools. If you are not comfortable performing a task safely, seek assistance from a qualified electrician. Factor in warranty and liability. As an electrical contractor, you are typically responsible for providing a warranty on your work. Be clear about the terms of your warranty and be prepared to address any issues that arise during the warranty period. Hire adequate liability insurance to protect yourself from financial losses in case of accidents or property damage. Consider the long-term cost of ownership. When selecting electrical components and designing electrical systems, consider the long-term cost of ownership. Energy-efficient lighting, durable materials, and properly sized equipment can reduce operating costs and extend the lifespan of the system. Consider the customer's needs and preferences when making design decisions. Also, keep the location of the basement feed in mind. The increased distance and difficulty of snaking wire through walls will contribute to labor and material costs. Additionally, the type of feed, its amperage, and voltage will need to be determined, as this has significant impact on the difficulty and materials required, which affects the overall cost. Remember that the complexity of working in occupied stores adds to the challenge. Precautions were necessary to minimize disruption and ensure safety. This factor should be reflected in your pricing to account for the added care and attention required. The total price of the job included both material and labor. In this case, the $1,600 covered the entire job. Consider whether this price reflected the value of the expertise provided. To address the core question of whether the $400 per store charge was excessive, compare it to similar projects. Consider factors such as fixture types, wiring distances, and the complexity of the installation. The time that was spent, 12 hours, directly relates to labor costs. Assess the hourly rate derived from the total price. Is the resulting rate competitive and fair, considering the electrician's experience, expertise, and overhead costs? It is also important to determine if the materials used were of good quality. Inferior materials can lead to premature failure and increased maintenance costs. Using quality materials ensures long-term reliability and customer satisfaction. Be sure to evaluate how well the fixtures were mounted. Secure and properly installed fixtures enhance safety and aesthetics. Shoddy workmanship can result in hazards and dissatisfied customers. The customer satisfaction is critical. Gauge the customer's overall satisfaction with the work performed. A happy customer is more likely to recommend your services and provide repeat business. Be sure to assess whether the business operates legally. Unlicensed or uninsured contractors may offer lower prices but expose customers to significant risks. Hiring a licensed and insured contractor provides peace of mind and protects against liability. Ultimately, deciding whether a charge is too expensive involves balancing cost and value. While price is important, also consider the quality of work, the expertise of the contractor, and the peace of mind that comes with hiring a reputable professional. By carefully evaluating all these factors, customers can make informed decisions and avoid overpaying for electrical services. The question has multiple components that are factored into the total cost. It included the cost of drilling through brick, snaking wire, making holes in ceilings, installing switches, and providing materials. These components were time-consuming, costly, and difficult. In conclusion, a thorough assessment of all these factors is essential to determine whether the charge of $1,600 was reasonable for the described electrical work.